Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. So, taking out a fun and exciting video for you guys today, because we are taking a look at the PC port and reimagining of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Absolute. And that's because recently I talked about Sonic 3 a.i.r, the PC port of that game, and said Sonic 2 is my favorite. Additionally, Sega seems to be delisting Sonic the Hedgehog games on Android and other mobile platforms, so in the future it's going to be even harder to play these things without software emulation or PC ports. And honestly, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Absolute is straight up a 10 out of 10 as to how to modernize a classic game, run it on PC, have some enhancements, and absolutely just make it one of the best versions available. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, down below hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But it's one of those things, I remember the absolute hype train leading up to Sonic 2 because I was a kid at the time. I remember stores running ads, there being commercials on TV, and the few gaming magazines I did have absolutely all were just previewing the ever-loving hell out of Sonic 2. And it's one of those things, I debate even with myself whether or not Sonic 2 or 3 is the best game on the Sega Genesis in the Sonic franchise, so leave me a comment down below and you tell me what you think. And just be aware, Sonic CD is not applicable for the vote because you need extra hardware for that one. But honestly, everything Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Absolute does is a straight up 10 out of 10. These are just classic, iconic games, and even though I own a Sega Genesis with all the original cartridges, and of course multiple Mr. FPGAs to be able to play these games on FPGA cores, being able to play them at 16:9 on my PC, moving the signal over to my 4K OLED TV, these colors just absolutely pop, and it is one of the most fun experiences around. Because I just think that when you take these games, whether they're decomps, recomps, or PC ports of retro gaming, it absolutely brings a new audience into the mix. And I feel like this is why retro gaming is making a comeback with some people that really weren't into it before. Because a lot of people are discovering some of these games again for the first time when they actually realize that there is a fun way to play them on PC. And just playing around in time attack mode with Tails here, absolutely loved all the parallax scrolling that was available in the Sega Genesis back in the day. But jumping into the mainline game, you can play as any character you want, you can play this however you want. The reality is, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Absolute is absolutely, pun very much intended, lets you craft the Sonic experience you want. And this is something that has been updated relatively recently as well, although I'm not sure when I'm going to run this video, probably the next day or two, but sometimes I get behind on more current news events. But this really is the future of retro gaming when it comes to these sort of things. We've seen it a ton on the N64 side with N64 decomps, recomps, and PC ports, but you're seeing it on Xbox 360 with static recomps as well, with Sonic the Hedgehog games in particular. And I think in the next couple of years you're going to see hundreds upon hundreds of new PC ports of retro games basically come out and keep the dream alive. Because I will say the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Absolute team just 100% knew what they were doing on this one. The inputs are fluid, everything runs correctly, it just looks like Sonic the Hedgehog 2 just because it is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And even though it's not something I can quote unquote show you in the video, just rest assured the control here, the latency, everything else is 100% what you want when you're playing a game like this. Because Sonic is a fetch twist game, obviously the entire goal is gotta go fast, doing air quotes, and if the controls had any latency in them that made you feel like you weren't playing the game up to your abilities, then it would absolutely just be a downer and nobody would want to play it. The good thing is that's not the case here whatsoever. But again, you leave me a comment down below and you tell me, have you ever played Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Absolute, and did you know it existed? Because a lot of times when I talk about these projects, I'm actually really surprised to find out how few people know they even exist. And it always makes me happy for somebody to say, oh, that's my favorite game of all time. I'm definitely going to check this out after the fact. And that is why I always have spots on the channel to cover things like this, whether they were updated in the last week or the last year. And this one felt topical again because the Sonic games are being delisted from a bunch of platforms. And it always makes me wonder why Sega does that in the first place. Do they have plans to sell them somewhere else? And if so, why would they delist them? If they have no plans, why don't they just leave them up to make more money off them? It's always been a very perplexing thing to me, but it seems that Sega loves to do it. Let's move into the first of two soundtrack samples. You can hear the quality of music in Absolute, and I'll be right back with a lot more Sonic 2, and you'll all be better for having seen it. I mean, in my opinion, Sonic 2 has the absolute best music ever put to a 16-bit Sonic game, but you tell me down below how you feel about that. And one of the reasons I am talking about this is these ports are based upon those mobile ports that were brought out in 2013 that are now being delisted, and some of the team behind that went on to make Sonic Mania, what would definitely be considered, in my opinion, to be the best modern 2D Sonic game ever. So these things have a very good lineage, and now that the games are being delisted, they're going to be able to continue to live life on your PC till the end of time. And the one nice thing is, Sega, unlike Nintendo, doesn't really seem to care when fans do stuff like this. They are pretty chill about all of their different IPs, so long as they're not working on them at the same time that someone's doing some sort of ROM hack or fan mod, then Sega just basically lets everyone have their fun. And even though Sega has some really weird business practices about not releasing games that people want to buy from them, at least they don't bother people that want to make stuff like Sonic 2 Absolute. And that is definitely something to be commended, and still why I love Sega. They just, if they're not going to sell games to you, let other people play around with them. So again, it doesn't really matter that they've been delisted, because I really don't think playing Sonic on mobile platforms like a phone is the best experience, but being able to play something like Absolute here based on those mobile ports with a controller in hand, sitting at your PC or wherever else you want to play, it is a straight up 10 out of 10. And I have played these on Steam Deck as well, and it's one of my favorite places to play them because you get both the handheld environment as well as a full controller, and that's just something I think absolutely excels when you're playing the game. But as far, again, as a port is concerned, in my experience with this, and I've played it more than once, I have never had a single issue, I've never had a single crash, or any sort of game-breaking bug. It really feels like Sonic 2 just came out on PC from Sega, and everything was perfect, and honestly, with the amount of bugs Sega loves to get into games, it's even better than if Sega had actually done it themselves. And again, not a knock against Sega, just the reality of the situation. Sonic's always been a little bit buggy, at least in the 3D generation of things. But you have to leave it to fans to keep the dream alive, and that's exactly what Sonic 2 Absolute does. And just so you know, there is an equivalent port for the original Sonic the Hedgehog as well. You've either already watched that video, or I'm going to show it to you shortly, because I decided to actually make these two separate videos because they are that impressive in and of themselves. But Sonic the Hedgehog has been a franchise I've been playing since I basically have memories of playing video games, and even if the most recent entries have basically ranged in the mid to decent categories in my opinion, I'm always going to be playing Sonic the Hedgehog, but going back to the originals that I grew up with that gave me the nostalgia for the franchise in the first place, and being able to play them in such high quality, high definition on whatever screen I want, that is just straight up an 11 out of 10 in my opinion. And again, I can never really decide Sonic 2 or Sonic 3. Again, you guys argue with it in the comments, and I'll answer basically each and every one of you, because it actually helps me form opinions. I guess the reality is if they're both that good, we're both winning. But let's move over to the second soundtrack sample, because again, in this port, the audio quality is exceptional, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more Sonic Absolute 2. I mean, I remember being a kid and seeing this special stage here where you get the Chaos Emeralds and thinking that it was absolutely magic the way it was developed, because obviously as a kid I have absolutely no idea how these things actually get made. Now I do, but the magic is still here, and in Sonic 2 Absolute, it looks even better than it ever has before. So it's one of those things. This game just has so much nostalgia for me, and the fact is if newcomers actually want to play them, the fact that they're being delisted now means you still have an option and a recourse to be able to actually enjoy them, and that video game preservation and also enhancement really makes a difference. Because I always love to reference my nephews in these videos. If I handed them a Sega Genesis controller, even though they all love Sonic the Hedgehog, and told them to play it, they'd probably think it looked a little bit old. But if I handed them a controller and put it on a flat panel TV and just said it was retro, they they'd probably enjoy the ever-loving hell out of it. And that's exactly what I'm doing here, and I think you should too. Go enjoy the ever-loving hell out of some more Sonic 2, because again, it is in my opinion one of the best games Sega ever made, and it is one of those games I've been playing it my entire life, and every like 3 or 4 years, I'm going to sit down and play Sonic 2 from start to finish again, just to have some fun. And honestly, Sonic 2 Absolute is 100% the route I'm going to go every single time I want to play Sonic in the future, even if the last time I played it wasn't Absolute as well. But short of that, we are done. Don't worry about the Sonic delistings. They're always going to be available, and they're going to be even better than the ones you could buy. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.